Good morning, students. In last class, we have discussed that is the types of an ecosystem, and we have studied the types of an ecosystem. We have studied what is biodiversity and the types of an ecosystems. And next, coming to the that is we can call the second one. That is we can call as the patterns of biodiversity. That already studied in the last class. We have discussed the patterns of biodiversity. The patterns of the biodiversity. So here the scientists are believes that the patterns of biodiversity will be taken place when moving from equator. That means the species richness is taken place. That species richness will be taken place when moving from equator towards the south or towards the north and the south. The species richness will be reduces or decline. That is decreasing. When that means the species which are presenting the more species are presenting in the equatorial plate of the Earth's surface. When moving from towards the north or south, gradually the species reducing will be taken place. That is seen in the patterns of biodiversity. And here the patterns, that means when you see, for example, if you see in the Colombia, Colombia, if it is seen here, will having, it is near to the equatorial plate, where will having the 1400 species of birds are presenting, where it is presenting towards the an equator, where here it is presenting towards the an equator it is presenting. So you'll having the more number of species are presenting in this Colombia near to the equator, where it consisting of 1400 species are presenting. And if it's taken place, that is New York. If it taken place in New York, here it is presenting 41 degrees centigrades of the north, where here the species are reduced to this, where here will having only 500 of species. That is will be presenting, that means the species which are in the New York will having only 105 species only presenting. 105 species of birds are presenting, where will having a very less amount. That is here towards the New York, towards the 41 degrees centigrades of the north, here will consisting the birds species in the New York will having 105 species are presenting in these regions. And also if you see in Greenland, Greenland, where here it is presenting towards 71 degrees centigrades of the north, where here it consisting of only 56 species of birds are presenting. 56 species of birds are presenting. And if you see in India, here in temperate regions, in temperate forests, in India, where it is very close to the equatorial, where here will having 1200 species of birds are presenting. That means here it shows that the biodiversity, the patterns of biodiversity shows that when in the equatorial, when moving from equatorial towards the poles, either north pole or south pole, when the movement is taken place from equatorial to the north and south poles, here the rate of the species are gradually decreasing will be taken place. And also here these patterns of biodiversity explains by the two concepts, that is two components. One is called as latitudinal gradients and the second one is the species richness. Here they can be shown here the patterns of biodiversity can be explained by the two components. One is called as latitudinal gradients, and the second one is the species richness. So these are the two concepts where we can show the patterns of diversity, that is how here when moving towards the equatorial to the north, that is towards the poles, the species are gradually decreased in structure. That means the species richness, that means the species which are presenting will reducing from equatorial towards the poles. The moving from equatorial towards the poles, the species are gradually decline or decrease in number. That is taken place. For example, here Colombia, New York, Greenland. Here will having in Colombia it is towards the equatorial, will having more species are presenting when compared to the New York. Here 105 species are presenting, and in Greenland here it is very less, very species are presenting. That means moving towards the poles, here the reducing of species are gradually decreases. Now coming to the first one. First one is latitudinal gradients. So here first one is the latitudinal gradients. So here the latitudinal gradient, that means when moves towards the latitudes, here what happens, the species richness will be more in a number. So here if you see in here in temperate regions, in temperate forest, temperate forest will having the more, that means temperate forest will have more the species, more species richness more than the tropical forest, That means here more species are presenting in the temperate regions than the tropical forest. Why they are more number is presenting means here there are three factors are presenting. The three factors which are presenting, these three factors will helpful for the increasing the species richness in the temperate region than the tropical forest. Why means here in the first one here glacial the fluctuations, that means environmental fluctuations are not be taken place. Here glaciations of an environmental the fluctuations here the fluctuation, that means environmental factor fluctuations, the glacial environmental factor fluctuations is less in temperate regions, less in a temperate forest. Then that means in a tropical forest here the glaciation, that means environmental fluctuations, the temperature fluctuations are more less, is that means low temperature fluctuations are presenting, so that the species are decreased in number. But in the temperate region, in temperate forest, here there is no, that means environment factors are very less fluctuated. Due to this, here the species are more in number in a temperate region than the tropical forests. And also here it shows, second one will show that the niche formation, that means ecological niche is presenting, that means here ecological niche is presenting, that is ecological niche means, what is niche means, the place where living organisms are presenting and interact with an ecosystem. It is a place where living organism, that means it is a place of the habitat or the place of the living organisms, and it is communicating with an ecosystem, then we can call as a niche. So here when the ecosystem is presenting, the species richness also will be more in a number. That means here ecosystem is not be disturbed. In a temperate forest, the ecosystem is not be disturbed, not be destroyed or disturbed, not be destroyed or disturbed. So here they destroy, that means ecosystem distribution, that means the ecosystem is not be taken place. That means a disturbance in an ecosystem will not be taken place, where will having an ecological niche is present. That means the living organisms are presenting in the areas and they are communicating with an ecosystem. So here friendly ecosystem is presenting. So due to this friendly ecosystem, here the species are increase in number in the temperate region than the tropical forest. So here in tropical forest, the ecosystem is disturbed. Due to disturbing, the less species are presenting in the tropical forests. And a third one, if you see in the third one, that is sunlight. That means available plenty of availability of the sunlight. Sunlight is availability of the available. That means sunlight is available more in the temperate regions. That means here when sunlight is more, here what happens, the food production, here the food production is also more, and food production is presenting, yet the species remains a constant. That means ecosystem will maintain constant. Ecosystem maintains a constant, so that the species are increase in number gradually. The species will be an increase in number, so that here temperate forest. That means why temperate forest is having a species richness than the tropical forest, means these are the three factors which helpful for the increasing the number of the species in the temperate region than the tropical forests. Next, coming to the third, that is the second one, that is we can call as Second one is the species richness. The second one is the species richness. So this species richness, it was explained by a scientist, ecological scientist, that is called as an Alexander von Humboldt. So here Alexander von Humboldt it was the species richness. Here what is species richness means when increasing the land, that means when increasing the increasing the species of an area where up to certain a limit only. So that is called as an ecological, that is a species richness. So here it can be defined as the species, it can be defined as the species richness increase with the increased explored area, but up to certain a limit. That means species richness will increase a certain area. That means species richness. The species richness will increase. Richness increased in an increased area. In an increased area, but up to certain limit only. So it is called as a species richness, where it was explained by an ecologist. An ecologist called as Alexander von Humboldt. Alexander von Humboldt. He is a scientist where he explains he taken place the graph, where here it is taken place a graph that is shows here one side he taken place the area, and other side here taken place the species richness. The species richness, it takes place the species richness. Species richness he taken place. So here it shows a rectangular, it shows a rectangular parabola. It shows a rectangular parabola is taken place. So here when it is taken place, here it shows a rectangular parabola. That means at certain area at the species richness is increased and increased area up to a certain limit only. So that here it shows an formula called as log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. It is an equation where here we can able to calculate the species richness can be taken place. That is called as the formula log S is equal to log C plus Z log and A. It is called so that here we can taken place. That is log S is equal to log C plus Z log N A, where here it shows that that is A is an area, where here it shows that A is an here it shows that the S is equal to species richness. Here S is equal to species richness, and Z is equal to the slope of the slope of the line, and A is equal to area, and C is equal to a y-intercept. So these are the and where it is taken place. That is an example, that is not example, at a formula, that is log S is equal to log C plus Z log NA, where S is equal to species richness, Z is equal to the slope of the line, and A is equal to area, and C is equal to Y and intercept. So with the help of this formula, we can able to calculate the species richness, where here it shows that it is increasing the area. When increase area, here the species richness also increases up to a certain limit only. So it shows here in the form of a rectangular, a parabola, the species richness will be taken place. So here these are the two factors. These are the two components where here it shows the patterns of a biodiversity, that is increasing the species in an areas. So here when land is increasing, the species richness also will be and increases up to a certain limit only. Here up to certain limit, that means here it will make a plots. Here the species richness will not be taken place. When you are increasing the land only, here the species richness will be taken place. When you take here the species are taken place in a plotted areas, here the species richness will not be maintained. So when it is increased the land area only. So that is taken place, which was explained by an ecologist, that is Alexander von Humboldt. He explains the two taking of species richness one side and area on one side. Area the Z is equal to slope. Here it shows the rectangular parabola will shows that means increase the slowly graduation of species are increased when increasing the land area. That means here increasing area, then the species are increased, but it is not extended more. Only it is limited. After some time, the species richness will becomes a constant, will not be increases. So that is an equation that is called as log S is equal to Z, log C plus Z log NA. Here S is equal to species richness, Z is equal to slope of the line, A is equal to area, and C is equal to a Y and intercepts. These are the two components which are presenting the patterns of a biodiversity. Next, coming to the next one, that is we can take in place importance of species diversity. Importance of next one, importance of species diversity. Importance of a species richness. So here coming to the importance of a species richness. So how the species richness is taken place? Here will having the species plays an important role in that is species are plays an important role in the an ecosystem. That means importance of species in an ecosystem. Importance of species in an ecosystem. So here the importance how it is taken place. So here the species, what are the species are plays a very important role in an ecosystem. One will shows that increases the stability. Second one will shows higher productivity, and the third one will shows that the healthy functional an ecosystem. So here will shows that first one is the stability. It shows that the increasing the stability. Here first one will shows increased the stability. Increase the stability. Second one is it shows the productivity. the productivity, increase the productivity, and shows third one is the healthy ecosystem, healthy and ecosystem. So these are the three factors which helpful for the increasing the, that means it plays an important, the species are will plays a very important role due to these factors. One is increase the stability. Here it shows the increase the stability, and second one is increasing the productivity, and the third one is it showing an healthy and ecosystem. So here increase the stability. How the species or stability will be taken place. So here in an ecosystem, if you see in an ecosystem, here it shows that it shows much variations. That means here it shows much variations, that is the productivity. It shows much variation productivity from year to year. It shows first one here it shows variations. It shows the variations of productivity from it shows the variations of productivity from year to year. That means from year to year the productivity should be an increased, and also here it should be controlled. That means it should vary. That means it should controls the environmental fluctuations, and also here it shows it should variated to the environmental fluctuations, and also it should be taken place. It should be controlled it should be controlled by the human, and activities also should be taken place. Then only here the increase the productivity will be taken place in an organisms. That is here will shows the variations, that is shows the variations of productivity from year to year, from year to year. Here the production should be taken place, and also here it should be changes. It should be resistance. That means it should resist. It should be resist to occasional. It should be resist to environmental fluctuations. It should be environmental resistance. Also it should be resist. It should be a resist to an man-made fluctuations. That means humans fluctuation. That means humans also will disturb the environment. So that when the environment, that means ecosystem, how the ecosystem will increase the stability means if you disturb the man-made, they have to resist along with these environmental fluctuations, and also here the man-made resist. Man-made fluctuations also should be resist. Then only here it helpful for increasing of the stability will be taken place. That means here will shows that when it is increased the stability, when it is increasing the stability will be taken place means here variation should be the variations of productivity from year to year. The variations of productivity should be taken place, and also it should be resistance to the environmental or occasional the fluctuations, and also it should be resist to the man-made fluctuations also should be resist. Then only here will be able to resist. Next, a second one, that is a productivity. Here, what is this shows here? Productivity means here increasing of the productivity. That efficiency of productivity will be taken place by the an efficiency as well as the productivity. That means the species richness. Here, maintaining of species will be taken place by the an efficiency. Efficiency and also the productivity should be taken place of product efficiency and productivity of the species should be taken place. This was explained by it was explained by Darwin. It was explained by David Thalman. It is explained by Thalman, where here he explains that in between the ecosystem here a competition should be taken place, a healthy competition. Here it should be taken place, the healthy competition should be taken place between the species. So this competition, healthy competition which is taken place in a species of an ecosystem, here the better species will be able to increase, the better, the competitor will be an increased. That means here who has win that are increases, and here when it increasing of the competitors, here increasing of a competitors, so that here what happens, the increase the productivity also will shows that they increased the productivity in an ecosystem will shows that they increase the productivity. That means if ecosystem competition is taken place between healthy competitors, that means in ecosystem competition is maintained. So due to the competition, who have win that species gradually increased, and when the competitors are increased, here the productivity of an ecosystem also gradually and increased is taken place in an ecosystem. That was explained by David Thalman. Next, if you see in here the third one, that is an healthy ecosystem. Here healthy ecosystem means here the species which are presenting, that is that means every species which are present in an ecosystem has its own importance. That means here it shows that every species in an ecosystem will have every species in an ecosystem will have their own importance. Their own importance is taken place. That means here if you see in a small species or a large species, so here the species which are presenting, that is a small species or a large species, so here every species in an ecosystem, it's having its own importance. It is explained. It was explained by Enrich. That means it was Paul Enrich. This was explained by Paul Enrich. It was explained by Paul Enrich, where he explained that is called as Rivette hypothesis. The Rivette means here the Rivette hypothesis. It was explained by the Rivette hypothesis. That was explained by Paul and Rich. Here, rivet means bolts. Bolts present in aeroplane. So here the bolts which are presenting in bolts in aeroplane will having small bolts are presenting, and a large bolts also will be presenting. So each bolt, that means each rivet which is presenting, each rivet means each species. Here bolt means the species. So each species, either a small species or a large species, is having their own importance is presenting in an ecosystem. That was explained. For example, if you take a place to construct a house, here a bricks, if bricks are the rivets or bricks are the species, so here the bricks are not presenting, here we cannot able to construct a building. So if species are not presenting in an ecosystem, we cannot able to develop an ecosystem. For example, if you take bugs as well as weeds, bugs and weeds. There are the bugs and weeds are also, these are also, they are smaller only, but will having their own importance is presenting in an ecosystem. So that here will having, that means this will shows that every species in an ecosystem will having their own importance is presenting if they are not presenting. For example, a rivet hypothesis, the small balls. If small balls are removed, that means if all in a species, if we taken place the aeroplane is a species or ecosystem. If the balls means rivets are removing from the aeroplane, what happens here? Totally the aeroplane will be a crash over. So that when it is a crash over, here ecosystem will be damaged. That means here species are gradually, the small species are gradual, that means species which are presenting that are reduced, your ecosystem will not be presenting. So here it is a small, that means if we small species, that means small bolts which are presenting, they having their importance in an aeroplane. If they are removed, for example, if a small bolt which is presenting, if they are removed, here gradually the removing of the bolts, that is the small rivets in the aeroplane, here it may leads to the removing of rivets will, here it leads to the crash. It leads to a crash of an aeroplane. So that here if small rivets or large rivets, gradually if they remove, the bolts are removed, here aeroplane will be leads to the crash. Likewise, here the species which are presenting in an ecosystem, either a small species or large species, each having their own importance only. So when they are having a small species or large species, if they are present in an ecosystem, each one having their own importance, so that it is helpful for the maintenance of an healthy and ecosystem development will be taken a place. So this was explained by the Paul and Rich in the form of rivet hypothesis, where each species, each bolt which is present in an aeroplane will having their own importance. If they are removed, gradually it leads to the crash. Likewise, the small species, that means each species in an ecosystem will having their own importance is presenting, so that it helpful for the maintenance of an healthy and ecosystem will be taken a place. So these are the three factors. One is increasing the stability, second one is the productivity, increasing the productivity, and third one is an healthy and ecosystem. These will helpful for the maintenance, that is will having importance of species in an ecosystem. When it is importance of an ecosystem means if these three factors are presenting, then only it helpful for the maintenance of species and ecosystem. Next, coming to the loss of a biodiversity, a loss of a biodiversity. Next one is the loss of a biodiversity. Biodiversity, the loss of a biodiversity. I mean, how the species are losing is taken place. So here the species are losing is taken place by the massive extinction, by the massive and extinction. Extinction means here extinction means losing of the species. That means here the species are lost over. Due to the losing over, here what happens, the species are not be presenting. So we could taken place in the form of a massive and extinction. In this year this will be taken place, the extinction of species is taken place by the fifth massive and extinction, where the species is taken place by a dodo species, later thalassemia, thalassine, and also here stellar cows, and also here quadect, and also here stellar cows and tiger. Three species of a tiger, like a Java, Bali, and also the Java, Bali. So these are the species where here three species of the tiger species are presenting, that will be taken place. That is quadect, So these are the species quadect. So these are the species where they are extinction, that is the dodo species, thalassemia, stellar cows, the species of three species of tiger that will be taken place. These are the where here losing of a species are taken place, that the losing of the species will be taken place. So here these are the where the losing of a biodiversity, that is dodo, thalassemia, stellar cows, species of the tiger, that is Java, and a Bali quadect. So these are the species are extinction, where extinct means the species are not be presenting on the earth surface. Extinct means the species are not present on the earth surface. So such species, that such process we can call as the extinct organisms. So in this extinct, here it was given by this total that extinct species are taken place in a book called as the Red Data book. In a red data book, that means total species which are extincted, that extincted species will be taken place in an red data book. that is a red data, a book that is will be taken place. So that here in this red data book will be given the information, that means what are the species are extincted species are present in the red data book, where here in this we can see in here a threatened species. We can see in a threatened species, endangered species, vulnerable species, and also the rare species are presenting. So here threatened species means the species are, their number is less. Their species number is less. Species number is less and gradually will becomes into an extinct. So such type of species are presenting, we can call as the threatened species. Their number is very less and going into the an extinct. So such species are called as a threatened species. And endangered species, here endangered species means here number is more. That means here also the species are very less and becoming to this, the number is normal. Species are more, but if you neglect here, this also will becomes into the an extinct regions. So here we can call them as endangered. That means the species are becoming into the an endangered, and this means their species are very less in number. Here also they are less in number, and these will helpful for becoming into an extinct. So this condition we can call as an endangered species. Vulnerable means here the species are more in number, but if you not preserved or conserved, here also these species also will becomes into an extinct. So such species are called as a vulnerable species. And another species are present, that is endemic species. Here endemic species. What are endemic species means? The species are presenting at a particular geographical area, where else they are not be presenting. That means the species are present at a particular geographical area, where else not be presenting, where else not present, then we can call them as the endemic species. Here endemic species we can say as that means here a kangaroo rat. That means we can see Kerala rat. Example, the Kerala rat, and a tiger species. These are example where stealer cows are example where we can see an endemic species, and also example we can take in place. Best example, the kangaroos. Kangaroos are present only in Australia, where they are not present in other states. So such species we can call them as endemic species. That means the species are present at a particular geographical area only, where else they are not be presenting. Then such type we can call them as an endemic species. Example we can take in place a Kerala rat. So here the threatened species, endangered species. Here also the species are very less in number, but they have to preserve, conserve. If they are conserved means here their number is very less. Here in this threatened, the species number is very less and leads to the an extinct. Here there is species number is less and becomes into an extinct, then such type of species we can call as an endangered. That means here very less, very few in number, and here very less. That means if we not conserve, here the species will becomes into an extinct. Example, here lions and tigers. Lions, tigers, elephants, their species are less. If they are not preserved or conservation is not taken place, here they becomes into an endangered species. That is, here the species will becomes extinct. So such type of species are called as endangered species. Here vulnerable, here the species are more. Species number is more, if not more only. Here, if they are not preserved, here it becomes into an extinct. So here this type of endemic species means the species are present at a particular geographical area where the species are not present in any other else, then we can call them as an endemic species. So this is where that is a loss of a biodiversity, how the species are losing is taken place. So here what are the causes? In the next class we will discuss the causes of the biodiversity. That we will discuss in the next class.